Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Good evening in Annemiek's case.
Thank
And
you.
welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that I'm really excited about. I don't know much about it, but it's called the Alchemy of Envy. And the reason I have the wonderful and beautiful Annemiek on here today is that she does know something about it, and combined with how I see that my students over the years have envy and jealousy and a kind of I'm not enough. Like she has something, she's made it to somewhere that I haven't, and I should be there. And this comes up again and again, and I know we all feel it at times. And so let's work with it. Let's talk about it and bring it out in the open. And this amazing Annemiek is, she's been part of Elegant Online courses and programs. And we just love having her here. She brings such a gentle and really grounding and peaceful energy. She's the founder of something called the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching, which is just a fabulous name. Can't wait to hear more about that too. And she has 20 years of corporate experience and individual transformation work, as well as 20 years of healing work and a forever ongoing spiritual practice. She sounds like me, actually. It's a very similar background. And she says when she's not sitting in her favorite tree, she teaches her students how to hold space, fabulous thing to know, how to help their clients access their soul-based knowing, and how to make profound personal change possible for their clients. So she's the teacher's teacher. And maybe we can get her to come back another time and talk to us about holding space, because I also love one of my favorite subjects, actually. And she has a 6-year-old daughter, which she talks about often. I just love hearing her stories. And a husband who are both very good at tickling matches. And they love the forest too. And I heard, Annemiek, that you're going to be maybe moving to the forest, you hope?
Yes, I hope. It's one of those, we're on the edge of taking a decision and finding out where life wants us to be, but we feel so drawn to the forest. So yeah, just kind of putting it out there.
I just got chills. I'm on the edge too. I've moved away from the city. I'm in a small college town, and I'm sort of waiting to see, am I going to plant here? Am I going to go to another place? So it's a fun place to be, but also difficult because it's uncertain. So I wish you well on that journey.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about soul-based coaching first, and then we can go into the...
Sure. Yeah, I'll keep it really brief, but because of course I can talk about it forever and ever. Um, but yeah, soul-based coaching is it's what we do is we start with holding space for our clients. And then we have this way of working that really allows their Shakti flow, their life force energy, like the life's intelligence itself to come forward and to lead the way. So what I teach my students is to guide that flow, to offer the riverbed so that that can happen. And when that flow starts to happen, healing and transformation is natural. Like it's innately inside all of us. Yeah, that's kind of the field that we play on, I would say. But it's both really it's serious. No, it's very serious. We can only do it like this. But it's also, we work with metaphors a lot, metaphors that come from our client system, and they're like people's operating systems. And it's like the way that we work with it, it's like we get to delve into that operating system straight away. Like it's a really deep dive, but in a really light way, which is one of the reasons why I love it so much. It's
It doesn't bring up the defenses.
No, because there's nothing to be defending. Everything is good, everything is welcome, and everything holds its gifts, which is exactly why the Alchemy of Envy is so, when I came across it, it really hit me. It's like, yes, thank you so much, because I've struggled with this a lot as well. And it's just really beautiful when we can start to look at something which is considered one of the deadly sins, right? It's like very bad. We don't want to admit that we have it. It's um, we could be bad people because of it. But to really look at, actually, no, it has a gift to give.
Yes.
We can become friends with it. We can become intimate with it because it's beautiful what it is here to show us. Yeah, exactly.
One of your teachers introduced you to this.
Yeah, Lindsay Para introduced me to this. She does many things. She's a very gifted business consultant, but also she holds the Mystic Society, where she really helps people create money and meaning with magic, their own magic. So yeah, she's great, and she's given me many things, but this is definitely one of the gems that landed well within me.
Yay. Let's dive in. What do you think?
Yeah, so as I said, we tend to think of it as something really bad, right? We wouldn't want to be caught with it. Like it makes us bad people. And yet, especially I was like many of your students, right? There was a reason why I was looking at maybe going online and offering online services or trainings would be a really good way for me to go, for various reasons. And when I started to do that, there was so many times when I saw people who were further along, who were doing stuff that was like, that like really like it hurt like a bit. And it just made me, so I think this is a very natural part of this journey, where we are teaching ourselves to be visible, to be out there, to show ourselves. And then there's all sorts of stuff starting to surface. And this is a big part of it. So when we look at what envy is, it really is about, well, somebody else has got something that I really, really want. And, I really like to think about the myths around envy. So we all know Snow White and her evil stepmom. Her envy, so the stepmom's envy, that's the thing that gets Snow White on her journey. So, and when we look at Greek mythology, Aphrodite, or even astrology, Venus, it carries the medicine of Venus. That what is it that attracts you? What is it that you want to attract? Are you aligned with your desires? That really, like in a nutshell, that's the essence of what envy is the mirror for. So, and one of the reasons why, it's so outside of our awareness, we so do not want to deal with it, that the unconscious reactions that we all have, I have them too, even now, it's part of the game. It's part of what makes us learn. Is that when we're not aware of it, what happens is that we so easily go into comparing ourselves with everybody out there, and then from that comparing comes I don't feel good enough, or I should be there, or we can doubt ourselves, or could I ever get there? She must have something that I don't have. There's this fear of not being good enough. There's we could get angry. Why them? Why not us? Because I've put in so much work. I should be there by now. And it can be a really good excuse to just drop it, just leave it, just give up, just not go there, because we kind of convince ourselves to, well, it's not for me. I won't ever get there. So, it's when we don't bring our awareness to it, it's a really fantastic trigger into drama. And, and it's drama about something that's happening for somebody that's actually really, really cool, like really, really cool. And when we get into this, like this unconscious drama, what happens is that we get to be into the tailspin of that energy. It's not very nice. It grips us. It keeps us in this. Am I smaller? Am I bigger? Am I, in the fear of it, in all of that. And
yes, can I just say, when I see my students, because we are a conscious group, or we're trying to be, right? Then comes back the judgment of the judging. I've been envious, I've been jealous, so now I'm even worse.
Yeah, exactly. And then we put in another layer and we try to deny that it's actually even happening. It's like we can go into overwhelm instead. Like overwhelm so much better. Overwhelm is an acceptable thing to have and do. Yeah, so this, we can build layers upon layers on top of that. Whereas the thing where we get triggered is still active underneath it all. And whether you believe in law of attraction or not, there's this thing about if we are in that tailspin of all the emotions, there's like, if you believe in law of attraction, there is that's what you're going to be attracting, right? You're going to be in that emotion and you're going to attract that kind of stuff towards you. If you're not sure about all of that, for me, it's also the question of, do I want to live like that? Like, do I want that energy to rule my days, when it's a choice to do something else instead with that envy? Because the fact that we get triggered, that's not a bad thing at all. It's a way in.
Let's stop right there and remind ourselves, being triggered is like an emotion. It just comes, and it can be used for good. In the words of this course, for people, around the law of attraction kind of thing, we talk about the feminine radiance and how our feminine radiance is what really brings to us everything that's in alignment with where we belong. And there's nothing worse than a sort of, this sour-puss face of a jealous person to sort of dim down that radiance.
Yeah. It so gets into your system when you do not handle it, like when you do not face it, what that is. And I love the way that you phrase that radiance, because I think it's what works really well, and it's also so much more pleasurable to be in. Right?
Yes.
The quality of how we can use our time and how we can be is just such a different one then.
Yeah, absolutely. So then what do we do when we find ourselves here?
Yeah, exactly. Because this is where the gold starts.
The interesting thing to me is, even just talking about it with you, it sort of makes me feel, like dirty, and we've gone into that place of ugh, because we all have some real memories.
Oh
we
yeah.
Remember that time and how it just seems so sort of heavy and dark, and not to mention our own radiance, but even just how you wake up in the morning and feel like it's all too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember especially from the beginning years when I was starting out online and trying to work out how I could bring my expertise into this new place. Like, there's so much to learn. There was this, I would be subscribed to many people who were in the same stage as I was, and then some people who were much further. And every time something would come in, there would be that, I really like this. And then that's what happened. There's that hurts because I really like it. It's like she's doing something that really feels very authentic. She's doing something that feels really powerful. It feels real. It's like, how can I ever, right? I would constantly get myself in that loop and trying to deny that it was happening, because of course I'm a very together person. I'm very sane and sensible and that kind of thing. I'm also kind and loving most of the time, but I realized later on just how much I got triggered in this journey of bringing myself into this space and having to. So I can't stress enough that it's very natural, I think, and I'm pretty, I know that I'm not the only one either. It really is part of our makeup. So yeah, people watching or listening, don't feel bad because this happens to you. It happens to all of us. And, still it happens to me as well. It's just that I now can recognize it as a gift. So, and this is this thing you asked, what can we do? It's like the first thing we do is that we need to notice that it's happening and then pause. To just notice like this, this is the ouch of envy. Right, that's what's happening here. And then when we're pausing, we can start to ask ourselves some questions, and ask ourselves questions that are about, so where is my real desire? what desire is being triggered here? Am I living that desire? Am I nourishing it in the way that I am in the world, in the way that I am choosing to do this work? And then to also ask, so what parts of this are attractive to me and what parts are not? And this is a really important step. So this is the inquiry into, because I actually had it over the last year. Somebody that I was reasonably close with, she'd been working really hard for years and years and years, and all of a sudden it seemed like she got it turned around, and she's making money like crazy at the moment. And there was this thing about, so I was so happy that I'd been practicing with this before, so that I could really quickly go to so what in this is what I would really want? Like what is it triggering for me that I would really want? Because it wouldn't be exactly that. No, it would not be exactly that, because there are parts of it that don't feel aligned for me, that wouldn't be aligned for me. It's like Shamli Ardais sometimes shares with us from the Bhagavad Gita. It's the a spiritual teacher. It's about, you can only live your own Dharma. You can only live your own life, what you are here to do. You can't, you can try and copy somebody else's. It's just not ever going to fly, and it's not going to feel right. And she doesn't say all this. She just says it much better. But yes, she is. Yeah, so this is the separating out. So where is my real longing? And then, so what parts are speaking to it, or what is it pointing towards? Because it won't be that exactly. Yeah, lots of money. Yeah, cool. Who doesn't want that? But there is, looking at the aspects of it, of the how, the what is it bringing to light. So that's the first thing that we need to do, to notice, to pause, and to start this self-inquiry. And when we've done that, then we can go on and we can really separate ourselves from the other person and separate ourselves from their energy, so that we can do two things. We can really celebrate their success, because once I've seen how it's not, what it's triggering in me, meaning what value is there for me, what desire, what longing is there in me, I can be so happy for her. From the bottom of my heart, completely drama-free, I can be so happy for her that it's working, that her hard work is paid off and is paying off. And with that, when I can do that, I'm outside of that fight, outside of that conflict, that drama. And it means that I'm no longer held hostage by the stuff that otherwise keeps on doing stuff underneath the surface. And, when that drama is operating underneath the surface, it creates like the murky waters that often happens between women. So this is how we can really support each other, be really happy for each other. And, the plus side of that for our radiance is that we get to be in the energy of celebration. Like we can actually live the celebration. And it's like the fact that it can happen to her is showing me that, yeah, of course it can happen to me too. It can happen to you too. So that separating out makes it possible, like you're separating out the energies there, so that we can really look at how cool, how amazing, how wonderful.
Yes.
Couldn't have happened to a better person. That.
I keep getting the lesson, I forget which teaching it comes from, they all mush in my mind sometimes, but that really special lesson that, for example, love is infinite. There's not a certain amount of love, so that if that person has love, then I don't have as much love.
Yeah.
And especially in this specific space, I can speak to, if someone else can make it really well, doing exactly what you think you should be doing or are doing, or is sort of kind of on your path in the same area, that means it's possible for you.
Exactly. It's not that they're taking it away from you. No, they're shining light. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, holding that torch in the cave ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just some fantasized possible. It actually really is possible.
Ooh, I got shivers.
Isn't that cool? Yeah, it's really cool in that way. It's like we can really celebrate each other on, from this, from that open heart, but also as a confirmation almost that we're on the right track. It's like, it kind of, we turn it around. Instead of using it to bash our heads in and make ourselves small, we can really turn it around and see it as a confirmation, as something. And this only comes from really separating out the what's in here for me, and how is it reminding me of that? How is it holding up the mirror? Was I playing it small? That was one of the things that my friend did for me. It's like that mirror, what came out of it was, am I playing it small? Am I still playing it small? Even though I've, gone out of my comfort zone again and again, like we need to do in this field. That was what she was showing me. It's like, are you playing it small? And there's a longing to open up to a higher level playing field. Okay, so now that I know that, I can work with that. Yeah.
Now, in the course, we've just gone through this second week, which talks about identifying our gifts and also looking at our experience and all of the experience we've had. So this, really being grounded in our path. And it's not going to be just a snap. Oh, of course, now I see. So some of the clients that are listening now may feel, but how do I know which parts? And I might even do a guided visualization with this, where we can, go into the quiet place and really imagine ourselves living what she's doing and feel into each piece of it and what really brings us alive and what doesn't.
Yeah, because that's the place to go to find it. It really is, like, it is Venus medicine. It's like it's in your heart, it's in your womb, right? That's where the thing, and so often, and this is what we find in soul-based coaching as well, because this is the next step actually in the Alchemy of Envy. It's about really clearly stating your intentions. So really owning what you would like to have happen. And so often we're afraid to do that, where we feel like it's asking for too much, or it's not possible, or who am I to want this, and all these voices, or I've wanted so much in the past and it never happened. Whatever our stories are around having desires and them being met by life or not, this is where they play out. So the third step really is about being very honest about, what are my desires? What are my actual desires? What would that look like? What would that feel like? Even if we don't know, what course or when or why or who, forget all of that. Like, that's details. That will come later. It's the what. What is it that I really would like to have happen?
Yes.
And owning that. Yeah.
Now talk a little bit about that fear. That feels so good in the first moment that you say it. And I see even your face light up as you say it. And then, if we could live everything we dream.
Yeah.
Is it okay? Can we do that? Is it okay for me to do that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like
mission to be happy and fabulous.
Exactly. It's like, I'm actually currently, a part of my path at the moment is finding out how much I've been living within fear. Like, as my, the water that I swim in as a, goldfish in the bowl is like, that's the only water I know, kind of thing. And I'm starting to visit another bowl that has very different kind of water. And it's like, oh my, what if all of life could just be like this? And it's a choice what bowl I swim in. Like, and that just, it's such, when we start to take ownership of what we would really like, it sets in motion so much. It's like, this is, in soul-based coaching, we call this working with desired outcomes. It is the most powerful force to set things in motion. But you have to own it. You have to own it. And dare to feel it, to dream it, to really connect with it in a way. And, holding space is like, beautiful match with this, because when you're in a space that is held, you can do that for yourself or somebody else can do that for you. That's when you can really connect with those desires, right? And even here, it's like when we're all, I mean, all women here, right? And it's like, how are women taught to be with their desires, right? It's not like we're being cheered on from a young age to say, yeah, go for your desires, girl, go for it. No. There's a lot of desires that are not right, that are not okay to have, that are dangerous, actually.
True.
Right? So this is also about reclaiming that part of us.
Yes.
And this is also why, it's so powerful and so beautiful that envy is coming up to show us and to reclaim parts of us that have been lost because, evil stepmom couldn't be here, right? We just have to put that to the side. So yeah, there's a lot of, it's not a, yeah, I'm opening the door to envy, now I'm done kind of thing. It's an invitation, right? Like fear is an invitation, like anger is an invitation.
So as you were describing, especially the different goldfish bowl, I'm a healer, and it's funny, even with these cameras, I could see this blossoming of energy, and it's completely self-loving energy. It's completely a place where you start to love yourself in a way that you realize, I deserve to swim in this other bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, following the alchemy of envy is a great way of getting there. Really, really beautiful way of getting there.
3 steps?
Just the third one, yeah, because there is, part of this clearly stating our intention and comes with taking action. So design your steps so that they more clearly match what you want. And I think that's part of that has to do with business, right? So with getting the course there or getting the whatever your product is going to be, taking the baby steps, whatever, just take one step every day or take whatever step you can take now and do it. It's on that level. It's also on the level of doing the work of alchemizing what comes up. It's like when you know what your longings are, there might be other fears, there might be frustrations, there might be other old, baggage waiting for you to open it, to look it in the eye and to clear it.
I actually teach there absolutely will be. You said there might be things that come up. I think this process of becoming visible online is...
there's so... Yeah, exactly.
Just expect it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's normal. For me, this is why being. So I was in business before, I had another business before I went online, but I think running a business is one of the most beautiful ways of being on a spiritual path. Like it is a constant invitation to be in connection with what is, especially this way of doing business, of inviting in the feminine, which is not about denying whatever goes on and trying to hide it and muscle your way through. So I think, having within the academy, we talk about the daily connection practice, but having a way of knowing how to be with all of that. We often use Ho'oponopono, for example, which is a really beautiful and easy tool to use as well. So having something like that is also part of the taking action steps, because knowing your longing is fabulous, and then the next step is about, for you to manifest it, you're going to have to do the work. The chalk would carry water, right? It's not going to, well, you can try to manifest a glass of orange juice by really doing all the mental and spiritual work, or you can get up and walk to the fridge and get it, right? It's that kind of, so that's part of it as well. And so that's then looking at like manifestation and how do you do that? How do you bring what you desire into this world? And there's a lot more to say about that, but then we're kind of out of the alchemy of envy. We've used the envy that was there. We've alchemized it into stuff that is really, really valuable and useful for us. And then we can take that further.
Nice. I love the idea of taking the baby steps, the mini steps. An idea that I learned somewhere from some business leader actually, is that if you're in overwhelm, you're not taking those steps. We think sometimes that overwhelm gets us stuck, but really, if we can wake up in the morning and take one little step, just sign up for the major piece of software that you don't know how to use yet. Just sign up. That's enough. Tomorrow we can take another step. And doing that will bring you out of the overwhelm, because I think it's almost the other way around, that we're stuck, and that's why we feel overwhelmed. And
because I think you're right. I've definitely been in the overwhelm and stuck departments as well, and I think that one of the things that I've learned is that when I'm really honest, I always know what the next thing to do is. I always know. So it's about just doing that, even if I don't see like all the other steps that come afterwards. Just do that. Often when I've done that, I know what the next step is, and I'm getting some momentum. So I'll do the next one and the next one and the next one, and before I know it, it's like, oh, that's really cool. I got some stuff done today. But it's like that, we have to take the steps. Always take the next step, and be kind, right? So there's lots of questions that come up for me when I walk with this, but it is things like, is it okay for me to have desires, right? Am I okay with that? If not, some work to do, because it's really lovely to have desires and to actually name them and own them. And then comes this thing about, if I have desires, it means that I want something that isn't here yet. There's always some sort of pain associated with that. Like there's a separation between the two. So there's a bit of, can I be with that? Can I be with that I'm not where I would want to be yet? I haven't materialized the multi-million business and whatever dream house on there, whatever. I don't actually want that, but it's like it's can I be with the difference between the two? And this question of this thing about divine timing is one of the things I've learned a lot about over the last couple of years. It's like, so I want it. What's going on for me right now? I wanted that in the beginning, right? And it's been a couple of years, but I'm so aware that I couldn't have handled it all, because there's so many details. There's so many things that I now automatically do, but it's because I started out much smaller. I've really learned to do all of the basics. I've learned to do all of, use all the tools, do all of this, do all that. Wrap my head around launching stuff. It's like, and of course there's more to learn always, but when I look at what I'm able to do, like the amount, like just the sheer amount of work that I'm able to do now, I could not have done that back then. So there's something about allowing timing to work for you, which will happen if you can trust that it will happen and you keep taking your steps.
I always say the timing is not ours, and it's not that we can't push the timing or pull back, but I think that we don't know what's best, and that if we just ask for what's best to happen, that it does happen that way. Right. If you start with a small group in a program, you might be frustrated, but I encourage people not to be frustrated, because that's perfect. I've had also clients open up a program and get over 100 people, and then get scared and close it down. So, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. So can you just, for us now, as we kind of bring this to an end, go over the steps again quickly?
Yeah, so the first step is to notice and pause, right? To separate out, what is it in this that I want? What is the desire? What parts are not for me? The second one is to separate yourself from the energy of the in-between energy, which means that you can celebrate. It means that you can be really, really happy for them. And it also means that you step out of the drama. And then you can really express your desire. So really take ownership of what it is that you want in exactly the way that you want it to be. And then, the more guts you have, the more attention you pay to this, because this is such a super important part of the work that we do in soul-based coaching. It is what invites in that to become reality. So dreaming about it, making it as real as you can in your mind, that is so super, super powerful. And this is where you integrate the nuggets of gold that envy have brought you into what you're doing. And then you take your steps. You design your steps more clearly with that desired outcome in mind. You become really intentional about what it is that you want, both on the business side, but also really using the tools that you have for your personal alchemy to work through whatever is stirred up.
It's a beautiful thing.
And that's it. Then we're done.
Process. Go back to the practice. Always come back to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm so filled up by our conversation. I can't wait to do another one.
Cool. Yeah, I'm always game.
Okay.
Fun.
I really appreciate it. I know this is going to help a lot of women, and I can't tell you how nice it's been just to chat and bring some peace into our process. It's always for me. I never, I pretend to be asking questions about my students, but of course, it helps all of us. And this process doesn't end. I don't have a lot of fear of putting my face out into the world anymore because I practiced it so much, but there's always someone ahead of me. There's always something that I see and go, but that, I want that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's what I love so much about this is that it is something that is part of all of us. And if we can own that and have a way of it not being a bad thing, but a way of connect, this is an invitation to connect on a deeper level. It's, not being caught in the fear, in the comparatitis of, all the stuff that we do. And this is a way of really strengthening ourselves and each other. And I think that's such a powerful and beautiful thing to do.
Thank you, sister.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll see you again.